During the 1995 NBA season, David Robinson was crowned the NBA's most valuable player. 𝙖𝙗𝙤𝙪𝙩 had won the MVP award the year prior, and the race for the award during the 1995 season was considered to be between him and Robinson. NBA fans were awarded with a matchup for the books during that postseason, with the Rockets and the Spurs meeting in the Western Conference Finals. After the Rockets took the first game of the series, David Stern presented Robinson with the MVP trophy prior to Game 2. Hakeem allegedly looked at Kenny Smith at the end of Game 1 and said, "Kenny, I'm going to his house to get my award." In Game 2 of the Western Conference Finals, Hakeem would torch David Robinson and the San Antonio Spurs for 41 points, 16 rebounds, 3 steals, and 2 blocks, shooting 18 of 31 from the field. This game was the very definition of a statement game. Joel Embiid just had one of the biggest statement games that I've ever seen. In the NBA Rivals Week matchup between the Nuggets and the 76ers, Embiid recorded 47 points, 18 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals, and 2 blocks, shooting 18 of 31 from the field and 4 of 7 from 3. This game was obviously one that probably held a little bit of weight considering it was against Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets, Jokic being a player that Embiid has consistently been in the running against for the last 2 MVP awards. It's no surprise that Embiid was going to be on his A game coming into this one. The interesting thing though is the fact that up until pretty recently, Joel Embiid hasn't really been getting a ton of recognition in the MVP race. Even more confusing is the fact that he wasn't even named an all-star starter in the Eastern Conference despite the pretty incredible season that he's having. Right now he's putting up 33.8 points, 10 rebounds, 4.2 assists, 1.1 steals, and 1.7 blocks per game. And he's doing it on a career-high 64.1% true shooting. And what's even more impressive is him and Giannis are the only 2 players in the entire NBA currently averaging 30 points and 9 rebounds per game this season. Taking it another step further, only 2 players in NBA history have ever averaged 30 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, a steal, and a block per game in a single season: Bob McAdoo and Joel Embiid. Even crazier, if Joel Embiid's averages continue as they have this season, he'd be the first player to ever average those numbers in a season twice, and the first to ever do it in consecutive seasons. Joel Embiid has been so good for so long now that he's in that territory of superstar where people are kind of starting to become numb to just how good he is. I understand that we're in an era of scoring that 30 plus points per game can sometimes fall on deaf ears, but for a center to be doing it in the fashion that Joel Embiid has been doing it is unprecedented, because not only is he a dominant interior force as a center, but he's also one of the league's best mid-range shooters in the NBA, and he's also a reliable three-point shooter on a level of volume that you just can't ignore. He's one of only 5 players in the NBA that's currently shooting 47% or higher on 5 or more mid-range field goal attempts per game, making him not just an elite mid-range shooter for a big man, but an elite mid-range shooter regardless of position. Defending somebody like Joel Embiid is a nearly impossible task as a defender because he can score from literally all 3 levels. It's one thing to have to game plan to guard the pick and roll when it's just worrying about a roll man that's especially gifted at scoring inside, but when they're able to pop out to the perimeter and knock down shots like Joel Embiid, then you've basically just got to pick your poison. Additionally, when he gets the ball in the short roll, he eats drop coverage alive due to that mid-range scoring ability. Imagine what's going on in a defender's head when Embiid has the ball at the elbow. They've got to think about what to do if he decides to drive, but they also have to be prepared for if he decides to pull the shot. If they play him too loose and give him even just an inch of space, he's going to make them pay with a mid-range jumper, but if they play him too tight, then he's just going to take them off the dribble and get to the basket. When he gets fed near the nail on this play, he's got a matchup against Rudy Gay. Rudy is playing him pretty tight, trying to prevent the shot. Embiid calls to his teammates to clear out so that he can get some space inside, and when he sees that Beasley is going to start to follow his man towards the wing, he immediately attacks the basket, blowing by Rudy Gay and stepping through Beasley's contest to get a good look at the rim. Look at this possession for a good example of how difficult it is to defend Embiid. Posting up against Duren, he drives to the middle and stops as if he's going to get into a shot. Before faking like he's going to the rim, He turns again as if he's going to take a fadeaway before he finally pivots one more time to get a good look at the rim for the finish. Even in something as simple as a pick and roll, if you hedge against Harden like Valanciunas does here, Embiid can get fed on the short roll, and good luck having any chance of stopping Embiid when he has a head of steam like he does here. For some centers, a defense can guard them in the post, and footwork like this isn't a huge threat because they know that even if they get a good look from mid-range, they're not going to be able to knock it down. That approach just doesn't work with Embiid, so you have to constantly be changing and adjusting how you defend him on a second-by-second basis because there's so many different ways that he can hurt you. We are watching somebody that's 7 feet tall and 280 pounds move like a forward, a guy that can dominate in the paint or the mid-range and create shots for himself from beyond the arc. So how are you even supposed to defend him? There's another layer to Embiid's overall offensive game that's developed more and more over recent seasons, and that's his playmaking ability, something that makes him even more difficult to guard. In the modern NBA, centers are being asked to facilitate offense more and more frequently, and it's no longer okay to just be a one-dimensional presence on the offensive end. So it's even better that Embiid has become a reliable offensive orchestrator, doing a ton of legwork to set up buckets for his teammates, using not just the threat of his scoring gravity, but also just an understanding of the game as a whole. When Harris gives him the ball up top, he's going to point to Harris and tell him to screen for Melton. Melton comes off the initial screen and gets into the handoff with Embiid, and Embiid sets the screen to get Melton into space to pull the shot. He punishes any type of gambling, getting it at the nail here, and with Jrue Holiday coming up, trying to sneak behind Embiid for the steal, Embiid just casually turns away from him and slings it out to the corner for the completely wide open shot. The Sixers are going to run this play, and the initial goal is going to be to get Embiid the ball on the right side block so that he can get an easy look at the rim. So PJ Tucker is going to cut up from the corner, drawing Seth Curry to switch onto him, and when he gets the ball, he tosses the entry pass to Embiid, but Royce O'Neal is going to slide over to help. Embiid responds to the help by making an absurd touch pass out to the corner, which leads to Harris attacking the closeout to get the shot to fall. Harden has the ball in transition, and Embiid is already posted up. Harden sends the entry pass, and with the defense scrambling to try and stop the transition offense, Embiid sends another wild touch pass out to the corner for 3. On this play, Melton has the ball over on the strong side, and he's getting a lot of defensive pressure trying to make something happen against the trap. Embiid calls for the ball and he points to the corner knowing that Daniel House is open, so Melton gets him the ball and Embiid slings it to the corner, and it results in House attacking the closeout for the finish. Yeah, 4.2 assists may not sound like a ton, but it's the 4th most among all centers in the NBA this season, and given how many other responsibilities he has on both the offensive and defensive end, the fact that he's playing such an integral role in creating opportunities for his teammates really deserves some recognition. So not only can he score at literally all 3 levels, but he can also use the threat of his scoring to help his teammates get good quality looks. When you're that diverse of an offensive threat, it creates a nearly impossible task for the defense. You can try and slow him down one-on-one as much as you want, but he can pass the ball, he can punish just about any defense that you throw at him, and he can draw contact essentially whenever he wants. He rightfully deserves the title of unguardable. I've got more content on my Patreon, including some additional notes and breakdowns on Embiid, so if you want to help support the channel, you can go click the link in the video description to become a patron now. Thank you to everyone who's subscribed to the channel, and if you're new and you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell while you're here so that you never miss another one. Appreciate all of you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.